The fight against climate change has been echoed all across the continent, but it's also coming at a time when Africa has one major drawback in its development, which of course is conflict. We do have conflicts across the African continent, Eastern DRC, in Libya, in Cameroon, in the Horn of Africa, not leaving out the Sahel region where jihadis and coup d'etats are also drawing back the efforts about development. How is this affecting the fight against climate change?
The reality is that conflict has been linked to climate change. If you look in the Sahel, what has actually shown a correlation, conflict and climate change, very strong correlation, means that people give up when they cannot find alternatives. The young people are getting into terrorist groups, Al-Shabaab, whether we're talking other terrorist group in the Sahel, because they don't have alternatives. And then they're being lured into this because they're idle. So the answer is, with climate change, we will see more conflict. Why? Competition for scarce resources. If you take Lake Chad, that has shrunk today to a level never ever seen before. That means livelihood of populations in northern Cameroon, in Chad, in northern Nigeria, and others that share the Lake Chad basin area will be affected because livelihoods in terms of those who are depending on fishery have shrunk. Livelihoods in terms of those who are depending on the water there for irrigation and others have been limited. And when you look at this, what does that mean? They don't have alternatives. And then they look for other aspects that they can be able to be involved to put food on the table and potentially ending up in these terrorist groups and or fighting over one another because of this limitation of resources. And therefore, with the changing climate, with the increase in temperature, we're going to see worse than what we are seeing today in the continent. And the answer lies back in what I said, seeing the opportunities to create opportunities for young people, to guide them, to retool their skills so that they can become climate action renewers, as I call it, in doing simple things like turning agricultural waste to fuel briquettes. That's a huge business. An over 20 billion US dollars business in just replacing charcoal business with fuel briquettes. That's a lucrative business to tap into, or tap into that growth value chain. That is worth 48 billion US dollars just in post-harvest losses. Developing solar dryers, young people will get into this pathway. Or we're talking about a simple opportunity like biofertilizer, where the market is increasing at a 5.9% rate every year, and actually still yet the production in the continent is low to replace chemicalized fertilizers. And so leveraging climate action opportunity is the best way to reduce conflicts, because opportunities will be created and reduce the fight over limited resources.